The material production of the hyperreal, it retains all the features, the whole discourse of traditional production. The way that we speak about everything has turned into this, including reality itself. We no longer speak about reality, we just speak about capital, whether we know it or not. And this is true. Every conversation I've overheard is either about the World Cup or about your mortgage, your saving space that you just added in your bank account, how you're saving up to go on your hiking trip, your job, your vacation days, your boss said this and that, and you were like, ooh, I'm going to email your HR, and your HR beef. This is what people talk about. It's all capitals terms. We don't talk about real life anymore. Or instead that is our real life. Hyper-real production. It retains all the features, the whole discourse of traditional production, like commodity production. But it is no longer anything but its scaled down refraction. Thus, hyper-realists, these people who are caught up in this process, fix a real from which all meaning and charm, all depth and energy of representation have vanished in a hallucinatory resemblance. All meaning and charm, all depth and energy of representation. All energy of representation. There's no energy in any conversation you're hearing on the streets. Get real. Get real. Walk around Victoria Park for 2 hours without headphones in, by yourself, without being obsessed with how you look and being terrified of everyone looking at you. Just walk around. And if you can't do it, smoke a fat joint and go walk around. And just listen to what you hear around you. There's no energy. The most energy I've heard in months from anyone except like one person I know now. It's down to one person, and a couple quarter people who aren't quite there. No passion in anything I've heard. No energy. And I'm pimping myself out. I'm pimping out the real. These things won't disappear. They'll be resurrected in theme parks for us to go on. This is the theme park. I'm taking you along the passionate schizo philosopher's journey, and you're going to love it. You're going to love staring at it and just like, oh, you love the energy that it gives you. Fuck off. Stop watching my video. Stop watching my video. And just become someone like that, and then, there'll be more of us like that. And I don't have to talk to a fucking camera. Just anything else but the DS, right? Anything but the DS. That's one of my other videos. They're all talking about the same thing. And every single line in this is talking about the same thing. And we just have to keep repeating it because it sounds insane, it sounds crazy, but the more you repeat it, the more people at least sit up and they're like, okay, he's pretty consistent. That's called the occult. The occult is the most consistent thing in human history. I think that's a nice definition. That's how I view it, at least. The definition, if you look it up here, will be like, the occult, from Latin occultus, hidden, secret, is a category of esoteric or supernatural beliefs. Gosh, I was just so cool. You're not going to want to watch. Just give me a second. I just really don't want to edit these videos. But if you just stay with me, we get to good places. Okay. You can see the occult, from Latin occultus, hidden, secret, is a category of esoteric or supernatural beliefs and practices which generally fall outside the scope of organized religion and science. So they're just like, currently we don't know what the fuck they are, is basically what the definition is saying. Encompassing phenomena involving a hidden or secret agency. We still don't know what the fuck they are, is what the thing's saying. Such as magic and mysticism. Got no fucking clue. It can also refer to paranormal ideas such as extrasensory perception and parapsychology. So you got no fucking clue, but it's a thing, trust me. Pretty interesting thing that we're talking about so far, isn't it? Let's see what it's about. The term occult sciences was used in 16th century Europe to refer to astrology, alchemy, and natural magic. Okay, and then you go through these, and then you realize that magic's real, and it's kind of been obvious the entire time. But, you'll get led to it. So, and this links in with this very well, actually. What's something that's not reproduced? When you really push it all the way. So today, there's this like production of the hyperreal. It retains all the features, the whole discourse of traditional production, but it's no longer anything but it's scaled down refraction. Thus, hyperrealists fix a real from which all meaning and charm, all depth and energy of representation have vanished in hallucinatory resemblance. What would be the opposite of that? Fixing the reality with the most depth, the most energy of representation. I think that's essentially what magic is. That's what occult is. And there's no point doing that. So magic is a set of techniques to introduce chaos into your life, basically. And chaos in the best way you can imagine. Creativity into your life. So there's no point, like, whatever the magical ritual might be. Like, you go to someone maybe once a month, maybe once a year, traditionally, in, like, let's say India, and you would have, like, astrologers that people actually listen to. It's like a very common thing. And you would go and, like, if the star signs didn't line up, you really, like, couldn't get married. Hey. It's not just, like, it wasn't an aesthetic, whether you want to believe in it or not. And it was, like, very serious, and they had, like, long books and all this shit, all of that shit. That's the chaos. So other cultures used to incorporate that into the way that they functioned, reminding themselves that reality is a radical illusion. And reminding us of that fact by taking advantage of the fact that it's a radical illusion to prove that it is the case, right? To show these things like reversibility of meaning, to show these things like the continuity of the nothing. That's like a huge theme in all of this stuff, but particularly, I mean, it's the entire point. The continuity of the nothing is the entire point. Occult, not a fucking clue. So what are you talking about? That's the point. That's the point. It's just the thing that you don't talk about. That's what we're passing through time. Literally, the nothing. Just keeping that alive. And it's this really interesting thing. And Buddhism can't stop talking about it. And Christianity is best interpreted as a structural lack, I think. And, it's in everything. And Hinduism does it with the fucking whatever. Probably. It's nothing. Hi guys, I'm talking about nothing. Welcome. My life's going pretty well. So this is the first step you have to take. This is the first easy stepping stone I've identified as someone living in a world which requires conspiracy theory as a method. This very strange world of simulacra and hyper-reality. First culture in history, in all of human history. This is a new thing that's going on. Every other human civilization had their rituals. Every other human civilization had their idiosyncrasies, their quirks, their culture, whatever it might have been. They're real. We're the first ones to flatten everything into the most boring reality possible. And because of that, we resurrect all bulk, all culture on bulk, pell-mell. And we want our Gladiator films, and we want our Odyssey films, and we want our recent history films and about World War II, and we want it all. There are a bunch of World War II films because, that was the time that the technology got invented and we started fetishizing ourselves, or however he says it. But now resurrect it all on bulk. Anything serves to escape this void, this leukemia of history and of politics, this hemorrhage of values. He's talking about the flat reality. He's talking about hyper-reality. It is in proportion to this distress that all content can be evoked pell-mell, that all previous history is resurrected in bulk. A controlling idea no longer selects. Only nostalgia endlessly accumulates. War, fascism, the pageantry of the Belle Epoque, or the revolutionary struggles. Everything is equivalent and is mixed indiscriminately in the same morose and funereal exaltation, in the same retro fascination. There is, however, a privileging of the immediately preceding era, fascism, war, the period immediately following the war. The innumerable films that play on these themes for us have a closer, more perverse, denser, more confused essence. One can explain it by evoking the Freudian theory of fetishism, perhaps also a retro hypothesis. This trauma, loss of referentials, is similar to the discovery of the difference between the sexes in children, as serious, as profound, as irreversible. The fetishization of an object intervenes to obscure this unbearable discovery. But precisely, says Freud, this object is not just any object, it is often the last object perceived before the traumatic discovery. Thus, the fetishized history will preferably be the one immediately preceding our irreferential era. whence the omnipresence of fascism and of war in retro. A coincidence, an affinity that is not at all political. It is naive to conclude that the evocation of fascism signals a current renewal of fascism. It is precisely because one is no longer there, because one is in something else, which is still less amusing. It is for this reason that fascism can again become fascinating in its filtered cruelty, aestheticized by retro. You live in a time, for the first time in human history, that can fetishize fascism and turn it into an aesthetic. There's a starter pack for everything and anything you want to be. What's that system that can do that? That can turn all of these things into playgrounds, into entertainment spheres for our enjoyment. And you know what? Maybe in 100 years we'll have the fucking Auschwitz theme park. And it'll be that brutal. Or the Gaza theme park. I'm not taking sides here. This is a general point. But also, fuck Israel. The film Stalker needs to be slower and duller at the start, so that the viewers who walked into the wrong theatre have time to leave before the main action starts. If you watch this film, I suppose that'd make more sense, because it's very consistent in its pacing. It's very consistent in its pacing. Occult as a verb. To shut off from view or exposure. Cover, eclipse. The light of a star that was about to be occulted by Uranus itself. Not revealed. Secret. Not easily apprehended or understood. Abstruse. Mysterious. Occult matters like nuclear physics, radiation effects, and the designing of rockets. Hidden from view, concealed. Occult underground passages of or relating to supernatural or supernormal powers or practices, or the knowledge of them. The occult arts, astrology, palmistry, card reading. It's not bullshit relating to bullshit powers or practices. No, it's like supernatural, supernormal, like whatever these things actually mean. Not a whole lot, I'll tell you that. Not manifest or detectable by clinical methods alone. Not present in macroscopic amounts. These things, like supernatural and supernormal and God, they don't refer to anything. This is nothing. This is nothing. The occult is a category of esoteric or supernatural beliefs and practices which generally fall outside the scope of organized religion and science. I've learnt nothing about it. Encompassing phenomena involving a hidden or secret agency. I've learnt nothing about it. Such as magic and mysticism. Kind of. No. This is nothing, pretty much, and this is about nothing, pretty much. It can also refer to paranormal ideas. Paranormal. Purported or imagined phenomena described in popular culture, folklore, and other non-scientific bodies of knowledge. So it's just nothing. Everything else we have. Everything else we have. Why do we have everything else and then science? Why didn't we all just start off as science? What were the cavemans doing? Were they just so fucking stupid that they were just waiting to find science and they couldn't figure it out? They couldn't do scientific thinking even if they were in the mud? I don't think so. I don't think that's more stupid. I think only doing scientific thinking is more stupid. Only doing one way of thinking is more stupid than not doing one way of thinking and doing multiple ways of thinking. That's a controversial opinion today. That's a very controversial opinion today. This is not the world I want to be living in. But they're about nothing. It's about nothing. Just get comfortable with that. It works. The question isn't, is it true? The question is, does it work? The middle is not the slowest part. On the contrary,